Hi.
I'm flying. I don't mind that I'm dead broke, 'cause I've got a dream that's worth it all. It doesn't scare me that I might fall, 'cause I'm flying.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my heart is going really, really fast right now, and I'm almost in tears. I'm on the mend. The camera is on autofocus, which I don't know if I'm gonna like or not. Today is Wednesday, August 16th of 2023. 2 days past the 5-month mark of me being episode free. Okay, I turned autofocus off, so hopefully it won't be making that noise. I have notes to try and keep me on track because I want to do this as quick as possible. The sun is literally setting behind me. I'm currently not using my phone, not using my iPad. I'm currently using my family's camera. It's a Canon EOS Rebel T4i, and we're claiming it. It is my camera now. I used it in high school, but this is me officially claiming it. Mom and Dad, I apologize if you thought it was yours. It's not. I can't speak. I'm very, very nervous right now for some reason, but I think it's because I'm so close to being able to officially say I'm over FND. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Here comes the sun. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, let's try this part too, yeah? It is hotter than Hades out here. It is now August 27th, 2023. It's a couple days later. I'm gonna give you a Google definition of FND, and I'm gonna tell you what my definition of FND / what I experienced was. Google says, functional neurological disorder is a medical condition in which there is a problem with the functioning of the nervous system and how the brain and body sends or receives signals. I experienced motor and verbal tics and non-epileptic seizures. I'm going to explain my timeline. I developed my first tic in October of 2020. It was just a simple head tic. My head would just go back and I didn't know why. I ignored it. Figured it'd go away. Came home for Halloween. My parents were like, what's that? I'm like, I don't know. Ignored it. Hoped it would go away. By December, I had my first vocal tic. It was just a little like noise in the back of my throat, and Amelia was with me and we were in my bedroom and she was like, what was that? I was like, I don't know, it'll go away. I went back to school in January, and I think it was like January 12th, 14th or something like that, and I had actually called my parents saying, okay, I need help because I had disrupted class so badly. I was just miserable. I was miserable. I was uncontrollable. I couldn't get it to stop. I was saying scuttle and all these other little verbal tics while the rest of my class was trying to meditate. It was just horrible. I don't know what my director had thought, but she had laid me down on the floor back to back with her TA. Shout out Michaela, love you. To do some breathing exercises. Unfortunately, it didn't really help, but I'd called my parents when I got home and I said, I need help. This is not good, basically, is what's going on. They set me up with a doctor's appointment. I think just a couple days later after that. I don't even think it was that, but the doctors had sent me right to the ER. They said that you need to go to the ER right now. I did. They had an idea that I was either dealing with Tourette's or FND. On February 12th of 2021, I was diagnosed with FND. Tourette's is a little bit trickier to diagnose. Unfortunately, today it is handed out like candy because there's been a bit of a pandemic in the world of tic disorders. So there's so many tic disorders, I could go on for hours about it. But with Tourette's, typically, if you have Tourette's, please correct me if I'm wrong. But don't just try and correct me if you be honest. Don't be weird. This is not something to joke about. Typically, Tourette's develop between the ages of 9 and 13. That's what I understand. Anything after is very slim to none. So the odds of me developing tics this late in my life at the age of 18 was like 0.01. It was like, it was low. It was wicked low. They were like, we don't really think that's what you have. It had been so bad in the ER that now I'm jumping all over in the timeline. I wanted to get this done quick. That's Amelia. The ER was so bad that I couldn't even speak to the attendant. I couldn't. I kept, it's like tick after tick after tick after tick. I had to like look at my parents and try to have like that, you know, like child-parent connection communication to explain, you know, what was going on. Because they didn't really know either. My friends at college knew a little bit of what was going on, but they're not used to they weren't used to this, you know. So bless them, they're the best support team anyone could ever ask for. But anyway, jump back to February 12th. I was diagnosed formally with FND, and then I ended up continuing school. August of 2021, I had my first EEG. There was practically nothing on the graph except for this slight abnormal slow down wave in my left temporal lobe, but it didn't seem to have any connection to my episodes or my tics, so they didn't really know what that was. So they were like, let's set up an MRI. My first 15-minute episode, and I want to say it was probably in September, just a couple days into my sophomore year. In October of 2021, I had my MRI. I was put out for it because you can't be ticking while you're in the MRI, otherwise you have to start over. So to me, it was like, you know, I went to bed, wake up, but I actually had an episode before they put me out. So they had like messed up the, what's it called? Oh my gosh, not the IV. They'd messed up the IV in my hand. I told them I was right-handed. IVs, at this point, I really don't care, you know what I'm saying? So, but they messed it up and they put it in my left hand and then they moved it to my right hand. And as soon as they were done with the IV, they were like, okay, sign this paper. I'm like, ugh. So I had to sign papers. Anyway, I went out, did my MRI. When I came back, I had no voice. That was another tick that I had. I would lose my voice sometimes, or I would lose my sight. Not fun. And not losing, I think one of the worst ticks I had, if not the ones where I'd hit the wall really hard, was losing my sight. I don't like losing my senses, and I definitely don't like losing my sight. It would only last a couple of minutes. It wasn't very long, but still was terrifying. Losing my voice wasn't as bad because I know a little bit of sign language and I was taking ASL in college. So me and Kiara would just sign just for the hell of it, just because it was fun. But I know in November I had a 2-hour episode and my teachers were like, this is not okay. Like, this is not good. My support team, they each had their own little role. Like, one of them, Ella, I'm just going to say names because I appreciate you so much and you deserve to be loved and appreciated. Ella was our recorder. She'd be writing things down, texting my parents, letting them know what was going on. BC and Kiara, they'd be translating ASL if I was signing or in phase 2. I should probably explain what the different phases are. Phase 1 is basically head down, eyes closed. I'm unresponsive to anything and everything. Phase 2 is I could be tracking you with my eyes and maybe signing. Phase 3, you might not even realize I'm in an episode. There had been times that I had power washed furniture, moved things around in the house, and we didn't even know that I was having an episode, which was crazy, until my mom was leaving with my grandma and she looked at me and she was like, are you okay? And I didn't say anything and she was like, what's your name? And I couldn't answer her. That's another thing. I didn't know what my name was. That was kind of the only way you could tell if I was on an episode, if you asked me my name and I couldn't tell you. I might be able to tell you your name or your middle name. Sometimes I called people by their middle name for some reason, but I never knew my own name, and that was a weird thing about phase 3. And then Sydney and Gigi, they were always just physically comforting. They just like hold my hand, like they'd pat my head, you know, whatever comfort they could give, that they were there for it, and I love and appreciate them. So November, I think, was the meeting that I had with my director, and the decision was made that I was not going to continue school because they basically told me that I couldn't come to class without an aide. And my family were like, okay, let's just go rob a bank real quick. It was a pretty effed up situation, but I think everything happens for a reason, and I just wasn't meant to be in that school anymore. So left school basically in December. I finished the semester online. The last 2 weeks were online, and that was, I think, the worst part of it. Watching, it was like I could already see that part of myself start to leave and be like physically extracted from the situation, which hurt a lot. And they were telling me, you know, you could do gen eds and continue, and I was like, there's no way in hell I am going to continue if I'm only doing gen eds. So left school. It was really weird the second semester of that year. I was still living at the townhouse, a little bit back and forth. And I think it's weird to say it, but I think that was one of the highest and lowest points in my life so far, because FND was terrible, but I was creating like no tomorrow. I would film. It was like my perfect little schedule. I would film pretty much all night, go to bed, wake up when my friends got home from class, hang out with them until they went to do their homework, and then I'd go back into filming, and then I'd wake up, hang out with them, go back into filming, wake up. It was like content highlight of my life, but more to come. It's not the peak, but because there's going to be more to come. But anyway, basically moved out in March and then picked up the rest of the stuff in August of 2022. That, I think, was one of the hardest houses to move out of. I've moved a lot growing up, and I'm addicted to change, but that was one of, I think, the hardest moves I'd had to do, because it was like the last straw of my independence at the time, and it was like, holy crap, I've got a neurological disorder. Like, my brain is literally, I'm not gonna cry, my brain is literally taking over my life right now, and it devastated me. It was not easy. It wasn't easy for my friends, it wasn't easy for me, it wasn't even easy for my family. Don't get me wrong, my parents love having me home, but you know, they want to see me happy, they want to see me living, they want to see me thriving and enjoying what I'm doing, and I am now, but you know, living at home has got its pros and cons. Anyway, I had moved out of the townhouse, and I think a couple days later, Cedar came home. August 13th of 2022, and the little butt munch and I have been working ever since. We started day one. I think we even started before he even came home. He did the basics, you know, sit down. I never really taught him to stay. I didn't ever want him to feel like he couldn't come to me. That was one of the things that I felt uncomfortable teaching him, because I didn't have control over what I was saying. I didn't have control over what I was doing. For all I know, I could have put him in a stay command and then not have been able to pull him out of it, and I would have had to trust him to know when to break like that, and because I couldn't train him on how to respond with my episodes, I didn't even want to take the chance of trying to train him to do. It was just a big mess I didn't want to touch. We'd been really, really active in training standpoint and running around outside standpoint. We were just always together. And I think my parents had always just kind of put him on top of me, like put him around me when I was having episodes. There is a video that I think my dad was filming when I was in the living room having an episode on the floor, and he was just like so confused. He was like barking at me. He was like, what's going on? He was just kind of looking at me like, what are you doing? What's happening? And so I think that's when the inside voice came about, because it's my favorite command. Inside voice is basically when I like kind of put my finger like I'm shushing him, and he just kind of goes, hop, hop. It's the cutest thing. I'll have to film a little clip of it. Okay, sit down. Good boy. Inside voice. Yes. Yes, good boy. But anyway, flash forward to March 14th. I was out with a friend, and in the car, I had dropped my head. I had gone out. They had taken me to a park, or we were on the way to the park, and he thought that I'd come out of it because I was talking to him. I'd woken up, and then he was like, let's, get you home. And I never even woke up. He brought me home, and he basically carried me in the house, and I missed it. I was like, what? They'd gotten Cedar. Cedar had laid on top of me and licked my face and just kind of nipped at me a little bit until I woke up, and then immediately went and laid down by my feet. My friend had never seen this before. A lot of people meet Cedar and they don't expect him to do the things that he does. But what's wicked wild is that I didn't train him to do that. I never trained him to lay on top of me. Maybe that's from, my parents just always putting him on me when he was younger, but I never trained him to lay on my feet when they were cold. That was never something that I was like, oh, come here, Cedar, lay on my... That was never a thing. I did train him to do DPT, but never trained him when to do DPT. It didn't last long, basically. So I came out of that episode, and that was the last one. That was 5.5 months ago. That was my last episode. Doctors, legally, I said this before, legally I could drive at any time. I could operate large machinery at any time. I never had my license taken away. I never had anything restricted. But the doctors recommend 6 months free of episodes before you're operating large machinery, driving, all that other fun stuff, for the safety of you and the safety of others. Now, I don't have a death wish, so even though I am driving now, my mom did have me drive home, and my parents have had me drive around. That was like 4 months, and it's like 4.5 months free into this. But like I said, I don't have a death wish, so I am waiting for the 6-month mark, which is September 14th, to drive by myself. And it's just so weird to think about. That's so weird to think about. Oh my gosh. It's been crazy. I have a tick maybe once or twice a week, if not a big tick every other day. But we're on the mend, baby. We're getting back. We're coming back to who we are. I've really struggled with my mental health a lot in the past 3 years because I've realized that I manipulate myself a lot. And not always in a bad way, but just a lot. Just thinking, it's like that, people pleaser thing where it's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. No. And it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to not be fine. It's okay to need help. It's okay to not have a good day. Like, I had a really shitty day yesterday. It feels like everything was just wrong. It was just like I had all these problems left and right yesterday. I literally ran in the woods and had a breakdown because it was just that raw. But today was so great. Today was so productive. In a matter of 24 hours, my mood, everything had changed drastically. So just be human. You know what I mean? It's totally fine to need help and to struggle. I feel like I forget that, the road is rocky. I literally live on a dirt road. And they only come and fix the potholes the day before it rains. Like, what is that about? I don't know. It's a whole other conversation, but fuck you, FND. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? My gosh. And I think I really had to tell myself that. If you're watching this video and you're like, please, I've just got diagnosed. How can I make this go away? Unfortunately, I can't tell you that. You have to find out what works for you. For me, music, reading, my mandalas, doing something tedious so my brain really had to focus. Cedar was really good at distracting me a lot, and knowing what relaxes you. Knowing what relaxes you is so important when you have a neurological disorder of any sort. And don't be afraid to say no. I went through so many therapists, so many doctors, so many different types of doctors, therapies, and medications. And I'm not someone that likes things that don't come from the ground. I don't really like the whole medical industry. It's never really been for me. I was on 13 supplements at one point, but it was better than, the one medication. They gave me a medication at one point for blood pressure because they thought it would help with my tics, but it was it was just bad. Everything dropped. Everything dropped. My mood, my mental state, my physically and mentally, emotionally, everything just dropped. I was sleeping 16 hours a night. I could hardly function, but you never know what tomorrow's gonna bring. You never know what can happen in the matter of 24 hours, 12 hours, 2 hours, 60 seconds. You never know. Just keep moving forward. Just keep trying your best. It's been one of the most, I think, challenging 3 years of my life. But what's funny is that some of the moments within the 3 years were the best in my life. Like, I went to college. I lived in my own apartment with my 5 best friends. I went to Houston for the first time with my sister without my parents. I met some really funny people online. Some real sweethearts. It's just crazy how much has changed. And my style has changed as well. I can feel this shift happening, not only just within me, but around me. Like, I can feel myself changing from, like, the clothes that I wear to the music I listen to, the people I talk to, and it's just wicked wild. But to wrap up, quick little update. Quick fire. Not only am I filming on my family's camera, but I also do have a laptop now, so I'm super duper excited about that. I am meeting Livy on September 8th this year. I'm so excited she's coming. So there'll be a ton of content on this channel as well as Tea Stain Pages, which just hit 1,000 subscribers. Oh my gosh, we're currently at 1,006 subscribers on Tea Stain Pages. My channel is currently at 302. We are so grateful, you guys. We are so excited. We have so much planned. Make sure you subscribe to both channels because there's so much coming. Flip and Film is also live on my Etsy shop. I've got most of my mandalas on my Etsy shop as well. There is a really big surprise coming that has to do with that on September 3rd, so look out for that. Make sure you're following all my accounts on TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest. Yeah, Spotify is gonna have some content there too. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Both the YouTubes, everywhere. Go follow, heart, favorite. I can't remember what it's called on Etsy, but yeah, something big's coming, and I'm really, really excited about it. The camera's gonna die. No. Okay. I've been posting on YouTube for about 3 years now, even though I only posted an announcement video in 2021. But I want to get you guys more involved. So comment down below. Don't be worried about it though. Comment down below videos you want to see me do because I have a ton of ideas, but I want to film what you guys want to watch. So let me know what you want to see. I'll pick from that list and we'll go with it because there's so much coming, you guys. Oh my god, you have no idea. There's so much coming and I'm so excited. But I appreciate you so much. Peace and love. Sending bright vibes your way. And tomorrow is a new day.